Morning everybody, Jason, PJ, Hollis Farms. We get a little earlier start today. I can hear the loggers up here. I know they're already working. Boy, it's gonna be a scorcher today. I'll keep talking about it, but it's extra hot, knocking on that 100 mark. So we're gonna run up here and check on them, and then we gotta do some feeding. Not sure what all we're gonna get into today. All right, there's a small patch, just a few acres. First thinning that we're gonna do right here. This is our fire lane right here. I think what I'm gonna do, I've already told them I wanted to daylight our main road back there behind us, but I think I'm gonna get them to get 15 to 20 extra feet that way to keep these fire lanes wide, because they're always gonna try to grow in. It take 4 or 5 years for them stumps to rot, and then we can come in here if we need to take the brown tree cutter or whatever and make this thing a little wide. It's just aggravating bush hogging all the limbs, and that'll just keep us from having to do a bunch of limb trimming. It'll be better and let these things daylight. If we want to plant clover in these fire lanes, we can. As we go, I got to make these things wider. Just makes the whole process better. This little patch comes up in here right where they're cutting. Hope they ain't dropped anything on the fire lane where I can keep going around. Kind of skirts around in here. They almost dropped it. Down through there is where we're gonna have to work on a fire lane. Well, the spiders and the doggone skeeters. I just had a skeeter land on me that was about as big as a hummingbird. Thought he took my shoulder off. We may come in here, like this big old curve, we just come around and we may straighten this thing a little bit or something, make it a little easier to work with. At least get it wider, that's the main thing. Work with anything as long as it's wide enough. Alright, I'm gonna zoom in a little bit. They got this guy out here this morning. He's marking poles. And this company comes out here and marks every one of them where they want them cut off before we haul them. A little different company than we've hauled with before, but at least you know when you carry them to them, they ain't gonna cull them. They come out here and pick the right ones they want. And we cut them to length. Send them on. Alright, so the loggers are doing good. Got a pretty good little variety in this stand. It's pretty old, real old, 35, 40, whatever it is. Got quite a few poles, got some logs, got the big chipping saw. Of course, there's always a little bit of pulpwood in there, so basically 4 different varieties of wood in this stand. There's a little small piece that I showed y'all a while ago that we're going to be first thinning while we're right there. And there's a fire lane that's already there that we rode down a minute ago on the buggy, but it's tight, real tight. I think I can ease through there with the cutter. I want to bush hog it, and then I about made my mind up. There's a fire lane around it, and then the main road on 2 sides. I think I'm gonna get them to take about at least 20 foot all the way around, widen this thing up to make it easier for the future for us to keep it up and daylight the roads where they'll dry out. So kind of my plan. I'll get in here, we'll get in low gear and go slow and get it cut. All right, here we go. Like I said, it's pretty tight down through here. I think if I take my time, I can make it. May have to raise the cutter up a little bit to get around some of this stuff, but this is where the first thinning's gonna be. If we get us about 15, 20 foot that way, 4 or 5 years, these stumps right here is gonna be rotten, and we can keep it knocked back where we can have us a good. We already got a good fire lane here. It's just things start growing over. Might spray a little bit on this side, or take the brown tree cutter or something. Keep that wide fire lane where fire won't jump it. Don't want nothing knocking the glass out of the tractor. I always cut this every year, just as we're working around it with the timber. the loggers, I want to make it better and better. Cut this down through here where when they come to it, they can see what they're working with. It's amazing how these things can grow up in a year with these little gum trees and stuff coming up. If you miss I'd get them all every year. If you was to miss a year, you'd about have to come back in here with the tree cutter. Get them all at least once a year. About time to start back on some of these once a year FIRELANE stuff too. Alright, we got around here where they're clear cutting now. Alright, so that cleaned up pretty nice right there. There'll be plenty of room to discus a FIRELANE there, won't we? Probably burn that. Be next summer, so we'll have to let it go through the winter, and then we'll spray it next summer and winter. I possibly might burn it this winter, but I think I'm fixing to get on a summer rotation on burning the clear cuts. I think we can do a better job. So this is a clear cut out here. It's hard to see over this edge, but this is a clear cut from last year. We're going to be spraying it here in the next few weeks, and I already have my FIRELANE done disc at one time this winter, or this right after deer season. I was going to burn it and I didn't get to it. Kind of decided to do these clear cuts on a summer burn. I think we can do a better job. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this. It's going to be a little rough. And I'll have to disc this again for the FIRELANE and then slick it back off. But I'll be traveling it some. See where the dust is coming up from where I disc it. It should disc pretty easy. But I wanted to cut this because we'll be traveling it quite a bit. I hate discing on my road, but I got an idea to fix that when we're done too. We'll be working on that later. I really don't like using a dozer on this. A lot of times you end up losing a lot of dirt. If you just disc it and slick it back off, you don't lose any dirt. Ain't y'all not just too busy a day today? Apparently, yesterday evening after I had left, the cutter man had laid a bunch down because they hadn't even fired the cutter up today, and they've been steadily hauling. And got to meet the guy down there that's marking the poles. Gonna be quite a few of them there, and we cut a FIRELANE. So not just too bad a day. Again, it is a scorcher today. Appreciate y'all watching. Out of here.